Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Raleigh Tandazani Chuta. I am an author and a poet, and I've written multiple books, and I have dedicated this channel particularly to my first book, my seminal piece of work, The Dichotic Dilemma, The Fabric of Life. And the channel is very simple. I read from the book and I discuss what inspired the book. And one of my most burning and pertinent questions as a young man growing up was, what is the point of life? And what is the point of human existence? And so today, I'll just postulate, just in this moment at the very least, and say that in this moment, the point of life is to reflect in an upward progression towards transcendence. And it's through reflection that we learn from our mistakes and we get better. We evolve. Evolution has been, in many ways, seen in some areas of thinking as a very material phenomenon. But the type of evolution I'm talking about in this instance is a spiritual evolution, or at the very least, an evolution in your emotional and cognitive abilities, leading towards a deeper and greater understanding. And the ultimate understanding of reality for me is the transcendent nature of who and what we are, separate from the material construct of the reality that we find ourselves in. So yes, I will postulate and say and propose that our human existence, the purpose of it is to reflect. And ultimately, that's what this book is, a very deep-seated reflection on human existence, a human existence that rankled me and caused me more angst than probably one person should experience in a lifetime, in their imagination, in their construct of reality and pain, and what it means to be alive, where others might have been finding joy and meaning in life. I was only finding pain, but this is the product. And so, without further ado, I will read on from where we were the last time. And so, 1.9, we are trapped and enslaved by this modernity that shackles us in its and with its very essence. This is preposterous. If it is indeed preposterous to you, that is a very sure sign and indicator of the truth of this in the statement. This is preposterous was a question. And just to explain the book, in the book I write odes, poems, thoughts, musings, and then I analyze them as you would a literary piece in an English literature class. And that is the essence of the book, poetry and prose, and in the process, analyzing and expanding on my understanding of human existence. So this is how I went on to deliberate on what that piece of writing meant to me at the time. This piece of writing is in response to the difficulties associated with modern living. However, by virtue of the dichotic dilemma, Every possible system of existence will have its difficulties. The difficulties are brought on by the need to survive, and the way in which we go about ensuring the state of that survival determines how we experience life. Through the transition of time, humanity is now at a stage where every aspect of trade is balanced against a monetary value. On this basis, money becomes the functional conduit towards living life in the way one wants, or being subject to the constraints and limitations of not having money. The limitations of this system are that money becomes the center of human existence, and such a scenario means that humanity's main point of focus is money. Money is the means to survival. Consequently, the effect is that human existence is then and being governed by the dictates of our lesser selves, the dictates of the survival instinct. Hence, notions such as if it makes money, it makes sense arise. And such a concept in many ways functions in spite of the ramifications of social consequence. It promotes the dominance of the more negative attributes of the human survival instinct, which can be played out to the extremes: self interest, moral vacuity, and such notions, which then can percolate into all aspects of human societal existence. Moral and social dilemmas are less significant when weighed up against the profit motive. Being raised as a Christian, one of the teachings from the Bible, which always rings true to myself, is that the love of money is the root to all evil. I qualified this again by stating that functionally, being overly money oriented is appealing to the basic survival instinct. Humanity transforms into extremes of hunter and hunted, predators and prey, and the function becomes survival of the fittest. Of course, the monetary system has its advantages as it creates incentive. However, it is a system that requires heavy moral input and balancing because it is a very functional system which can turn human existence into being just about survival. Indeed, survival is a fundamental input to our existence. However, the challenge is, as human beings with our relatively greater faculties, can we aspire to be more? On that basis, writing, writing becomes a very important and powerful medium of expression, as ideas can be discussed in the context of freedom of speech, which is a very liberating and powerful phenomenon when implemented positively. Hence why my freedom of speech is why I will say this. Is it so far-fetched to envisage a world devoid of the concept of money as we know it today? Existing under the current monetary system encourages exploitation with inevitable social stratification, leaving others poor, others desperately so and destitute, with all the resultant social ramifications which lead to a very negative perception of our existence. We live in a world of nanotechnology, extraordinary technological sophistication, yet our social existence is still nigh on barbaric, observed as a collective. Are we not intelligent enough to create a system whereby we embrace a collective humanity and do away with arbitrary lines, which mean instead of existing together on this planet, we grab, fight, and steal from each other, exploit each other and the planet? A juxtaposition that brings into clear light the extremes of the ramifications of the dichotic dilemma. A potential greatness lost by appealing to the dictates of our lesser selves, our basic instinct, our infantile state as a species of beings. We have gone through the Stone Age, the Iron Age, and so on, leading up to now, an age of extremely advanced technology in relative terms. Can our social existence not reflect this advancement as well? By and large, by great forces, some explained and some still unknown or unproven, we as human beings lived quite separately in seemingly distinct and disparate groups. We have intermingled through the ages, however, not as pointedly and as forcibly as we do today, by virtue of technology and expanding population levels, which bring us closer. Through subsequent interaction, we realize we are not that different, and fundamentally, we are the same. Hence, just as an idea, perchance a far-fetched one, can the process which has brought us to this point through fighting, war, and hate, lesser emotional, and human functions, can it not be the process which as akin to growing pains, be the process that gives rise to a new human civilization, a collective form of existence? Or are we too subject to the dictates of our lesser selves, our basic instinct, the dichotic dilemma? The mind believes what it is told and shown. A personal belief is to hold true that some things must be said, whether to fall on deaf ears and be ineffectual, as long as they have been said. And so I'll bring a close to today's reading, a meaningful reflection in many ways. And one doesn't need to go at length to give examples of what I mean or what that piece of reading necessarily was reflecting on. Everyone knows. We see it every day. We have seen it through the millennia. And so, as I said at the beginning, what is the point of our human existence? It is to reflect. And I find it remarkable that as in my mid-20s, I was at this level of reflection. And I can certainly assure you that at 39, as I turn 40, that reflection is only deepened. And so I can say and assert with more authority that yes, indeed, there are many things that life can mean, but at the same time, to reflect in a meaningful way towards a greater and deeper understanding of what all is, the extent of it, to infinity and beyond, as the saying goes. What a grand purpose. So thank you for listening. So subscribe, like, and share, and leave your comments below. And the book is available on Amazon The Dichotic Dilemma, The Fabric of Life. The thoughts and reflections of a young man brought up in a complex world, raised in a post-colonial country, which has undergone what can only describe it as a tailspin into some kind of ignominy. And yet, I know for a fact that it's all avoidable. And there are more than enough people capable of turning that around. And yet it still is as it is. And it was as it was. So then what can one do but reflect? Thank you very much.